This episode of Southeast Iowa Today is brought to you by Griner Auto Body of Washington, Iowa. Using state-of-the-art techniques and decades of experience to get your car back on the road after an accident. Car Doctor of Washington, Iowa. No matter who Frankensteined it, they can fix it, clean it, and customize it. McDonald Boneyard of Keota, Iowa. For all your farm equipment and auto recycling needs. Hinshaw Trailer Sales of Richland, Iowa. You need a trailer? They've got your trailer, and they can fix what they sell and don't in their full-time repair shop. Girling Repair of Winfield, Iowa. If your mower is dead, call Fred, your Husqvarna, Aaron's, and Gravely dealer. Fred also fixes and sells snowblowers. B&B Propane and the family of jet stops. Dutch Market and Coffee Talk of Washington, Iowa. Dutch Market can handle all of your grocery needs, and they even have a conference room you can use for free. Coffee Talk's drive-thru is open and ready to serve you coffee, energy drinks, sandwiches, baked goods, and ice cream. They all present the award-winning Southeast Iowa Today. Here's the author of Christie's Journey, The Beat Goes On, and your host, John Bain.
Thank you, announcer Cody Roy of NewEnglandDukes.com for your golden pipes and wonderful introduction. Today is March 24th, 2025. I'm at the Jefferson County Courthouse in Fairfield, Iowa, and the Board of Supervisors meeting is taking place. This episode will take you to the first half of that meeting. So let's go on inside and see what's going on.
All right. Call this meeting to order for the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors for March 24th, and would entertain a motion to adjourn. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of March 10th, March 11th. If there's no additions or deletions.
So moved.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All right. Morning, Dwayne.
Good morning, Supervisors. Beautiful day in Jefferson County, sunshine, and dry roads and plenty of rock everywhere.
There you go.
Okay, so there's my fib for the week. We do have sunshine though, that's a good start. Crew is on Dowds Road, putting edge rut down to remove the edge drop-offs along there prior to chip seal later this year. When we get the edge ruts done, we'll go to replacing pipe on our routes that are gonna get chip sealed, ones that need pipe work done and patching, so that we're not running heavy equipment on them later this summer. We're also, the graders are out prepping for dust control and also getting ready for the contract rock. So if your roads are a mess today, they will be better tomorrow or the next day. As they're bringing the edges in, bringing a lot of that material that kind of works its way out during the winter. They're bringing that back up onto the road, but they'll also bring some dirt and grass with it. So there will be a couple of days where it looks like they're making more of a mess than they're helping. But it will eventually get better. It just takes time as they make their passes with the blades. Please be patient. We'll get there with it.
So in other words, you're saying that lip on the edge, you're bringing that across?
Yeah, just, during the summer we put rock on the roads. During the winter we plow off to the sides, so the rock gets pushed off to the side, some of it down into the ditch. So over time, some of those roads get really wide. So we try to bring them back in because most of that material that's on the forest slope is a large percentage of rock, and then it also has some dirt and also vegetation, because weeds grow in anything. We bring them up, get them out on the road to dry out, and then we can lose them over time. So, but in the process, it makes a mess. It makes it look like we don't know what we're doing. We do, it's just that's how it has to be done. And then we are also working on contract rock up in Packwood, Beacon area. I'll be working on that all this week, and then not exactly sure which direction they're going, if they're gonna go east towards Pleasant Plain or south towards Batavia after that. bridge, we've got the pier caps poured. So after, they'll have maturity age on the concrete by the middle of this week so that they can start setting the forms for the deck floor. So they're making really good progress. And we'll start counting working days on them next week on the 1st. So everything they've done since November 15th through basically this week is what they call free winter work. So the DOT allows that so that when they have days that are fit to work, they can work, and it helps move the progress of the project along. So otherwise, they wouldn't have any incentive to start until April 1st, and then you'd be all through next summer getting it done. So this accelerates the construction process. And I will be gone Thursday this week until Wednesday next week. Thomas and Melissa should be able to handle anything that comes up, and I'll have my phone with me if there's an emergency. They can always get a hold of me. You guys can get a hold of me. But I don't imagine there's much that can come up that Jeff and Thomas and Melissa can't figure out with a phone call.
Any questions for Dwayne? I got one. I've been talking to a property owner this over in Lockridge. I know we talked about, I think May was probably a start date thereabouts for the, I was just curious, are we gonna take any of that? And when we were originally going to do that, it came in $800,000 higher, but we were gonna cut that back down because it was, we were getting water going into the yards and stuff, cause we just put stuff on top of it for so many years. Are we gonna cut any of that down and put a groove on the sides or anything?
We're going to mill down, cause right now, that's the old 1930s concrete underneath the asphalt, so there's a 6-inch concrete pavement, and then it's got a 3 or 4 inch curve. So we'll take and then it has a 3-inch asphalt overlay kind of fill in that center. So we'll mill off the curb and the asphalt overlay and get down to that original concrete. And then we'll put 3 inches of rock back on top of that to develop a uniform road surface that we can chip seal on. So we'll be back to where we were, but we've done most of the grade work outside the curb that we can do. Before, the previous plans were to stick a subdrain all along.
Right.
And that's what really blew that budget clear out of the water, was that subdrain was just terribly expensive. And I think just because of the small, a mile doesn't seem like a small quantity, but for subdrain contractors it is. And that was why we were going to try and get the water off the edge of the road. So now we're getting it to the edge of the road and off, and the profile will drain it to the low points where the intakes are. So it'll be better than it is. It's not going to be as nice as I wanted it to be, but you know, budget being what they are, it's as nice as we can afford.
Yep, I get it. Anything else for Dwayne? Discuss and consider filling vacant position as secondary roads department. I put this on. We had a member of the roads department seek employment elsewhere and has moved on. And so the question for the board is whether or not we've talked about the not wanting to lay people off or letting people go, but that if there was, I hate to use the word opportunities, but if a situation arose that through attrition or whatever, we would discuss whether or not we want to fill the position. And I think at this point in time, for me, I think this is an opportunity to have that discussion. It's about 90,000 with benefits, roughly about 90,000 a year. revisit it at some later date if we decide that it's not something we wanna do right now as far as filling the position, but, you know, we can always come back and look at it, but at this point in time, I think it's something that we should take, give some strong consideration to moving forward without filling the position until we see how financially things work out and what we're, what's what we're looking for. Being able to, function without replacing or filling the position.
So, hey, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What if I've got any opening in the county?
Sure. We got another one coming up that we have to discuss as well. But I mean, this was, you know, was something actually that even, the attrition thing was what I was pointing a phrase from you. Something that we would look at, and I think that, I mean, obviously, we don't want to, there's certain areas that I think have more, don't misunderstand how this sounds, Dwayne, but, that would potentially would require a lot more, I don't wanna say a lot more consideration, looking at it differently, if we were talking about law enforcement, engagement, or something of that nature. Because, for example, now we've had an employee that left, a full-time employee that left the ambulance, and so if we don't replace that, then we're obviously going to have days where we don't have both rigs running, which is a life and death situation there. And so those are things that I think have, we're not necessarily comparing apples to apples, is all I'm saying. But anyway,
Well, with the budget we got and stuff, I kind of in favor of not replacing right now, but visit it down the road if it's necessary. So I don't wanna see anybody laid off either because of budget constraints, but this is an opportunity to deal with it at this time. And then on down the road, we'll see where things go. So,
Well, which plow route are you gonna eliminate? You've got them there in front of you.
I don't think we need to eliminate a plow route, sorry.
Okay, so who's gonna do it?
well, was this individual currently on file?
Yeah, everybody's on a plow except Jess and the mechanic. Jess is our floater in case somebody's
Oh, I see, what you-
emergency.
we're not talking, I'm sorry, not talking maintainer.
No,
Right, okay,
Plow.
sorry.
Maybe Jess can get on a plow then.
and then if there's an emergency and he's halfway across the county, you know, that's.
Somebody else could fill in or something.
And I think we need to remember that, was it 2 years ago, Wes Davis quit?
Mhm.
You did not replace him.
No,
And thank you for that.
we cut our, that was without your request, that was just something that we threw out there, but right now, we're running about as thin as we can. We can get by, but
Well, I think we need to try to get by. I don't wanna have to lay anybody off. I don't know what we're gonna do another year. I know it's not what you want, Dwayne, but
well, you guys, you're looking to cut out of a department that you barely fund. Only 20% of our fund comes from the county.
But all of the wages are, and benefits, are a direct cost.
They're a direct cost, but you're only funding 20% of that cost. So you're only getting a 20% benefit on that. Based on our budget, we've got roughly a $5 million budget, you give us $1 million of that. And so you're cutting in a department that, you're still going to give us the same amount of money, or you're gonna cut the $90,000 out of our budget, so we're only gonna get $900,000
that would be the thought. I mean, that's the purpose behind looking at it is, saving $100,000 out of general basic, or rural basic rather, I guess.
Dwayne, how much money will we save this year and this year if we do the replacement?
We got last 3 months,
Yeah.
$6,000 maybe, $5,000-6,000.
You know, Lee, I'm thinking, you know, I can see everybody's side here, but I think that, we're coming up on vacation times. Do most of you guys take vacation in the summer, or they take it later on?
Yeah, we try to encourage them to take their vacations during the summer so that they're around during the snow, snow season, because that's really our crunch time of year, because when the snow flies, we have to have a full staff.
So Lee, what would be wrong with waiting to consider hiring or not hiring until July 1st?
Oh, because then you'd have to turn around and lay somebody off July 1st if you decided you didn't want to do it.
I don't know how, seeing how that works.
You mean you're talking about not filling the position right
Right
now?
now.
Right.
So, who would you lay off if you haven't hired?
I misunderstood what you were saying.
Okay.
And I guess what I would say is that what would the practical effect of just waiting 3 months be?
To see if it's needed. Just gives a little time.
Well, I think that's I think that's a fair assessment. I don't see any changes between now and the next 3 months, but.
Yeah, I didn't foresee anybody getting another job and leaving either.
Yeah. You know, you lose another employee between now and then, that obviously changes the dynamic somewhat, but, I think we could. I guess I'm okay with not hiring right now. I'm not probably gonna change my mind come July 1st. But the question is, I don't know if it actually directly or indirectly affects the budget. If we don't hire, I guess what I'm asking is, and this is probably a Christie question or Shannon question, but if we make any changes to the budget, we can move money out of one budget into, or out of one fund or whatever, into another fund. It's just because we budget X doesn't necessarily mean we spend X.
Yes. So essentially, are you saying we'd be saving money if we didn't do it, or if we did?
No, I was just looking at terms of starting a new budget in the fiscal year, whether or not we had all our facts and figures in a row, but the reality of it is that we don't necessarily spend, we're not required to spend what we appropriate.
Right.
So, I agree with Joe. I think that we can see how we get along. And your idea of waiting till July 1st, we're not filling the position as it stands right at the moment, and we can revisit it on July 1st, or prior to, say the week of the 16th and the week of the 23rd of June, prior to the end of the year. I don't anticipate seeing any difference in my estimation, but I'm willing to not hire for right now and then look at it again the end of June and see how we feel about it.
Well, I've heard all three of us have kind of talked about this, and so I move that at this time, we do not fill a position and possibly revisit it in the future. That good enough, Abby?
So you can get paid that.
I look at this time of not filling the position and possibly revisiting it in the future. Did you hear?
What'd you just say?
You missed a T and you didn't dog on it. I'll let that slide. Do we have a second? Any further discussion? Just for the record, so everybody's sure what we're voting on. We're more or less, we are pausing the hiring decision. We will not hire to replace the position, or fill the position the remainder of this fiscal year. We'll revisit it. Let's put it on June 16th agenda. Okay? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you.
I didn't hear you.
Do we need to do roll call vote?
Stop it, I'll start coughing.
So the second there, the discuss and consider employee compensation, that is kind of taking care of itself. So there's no need to visit that. So we'll move on to meet with the ambulance director.
Good morning.
Thank you, Roy.
So it was already kind of touched on, our front door, the ambulance garage is jacked up right now. Ramar's come in today, take a look at it. The front latch on the front door isn't opening or closing like it's supposed to. So that's been kind of a pain.
Is
Yeah.
that something to do with the security system we put in?
Yeah,
Okay.
yep. Yeah, so they're gonna be here today to take a look at that, hopefully this afternoon.
Is that a warrant, do you think?
Should be. Yeah. Been in discussions with the hospital regarding payments for transfers, see if we can figure out anything as far as, getting some compensation for trips we take that don't get paid. So I'm still talking with them, trying to improve our relationship and just make a better plan for everybody moving forward on that. Next week I'll put in a resolution for one of our part-time medics to move to full-time. Somebody kind of came in out of, well, unexpectedly, and wanted a full-time position. So the person we thought was gonna take it isn't, and someone else is gonna come in and pick up more hours, so I'll know more about that tomorrow. When he's here, I'll talk to him again, but
This is to replace the medic we lost.
yes, yep, well, partially. Yeah. So there will be some discussion on that next week. As far as the training program goes, we did send the application to the state finally, got all the paperwork in order for that. The representative up there said it could take weeks or months before she actually gets a chance to look at it, just because she's one person doing all the training programs for the state, so we don't know a timeline on that, but I'm still working on the accreditation piece, and getting everything in order for that, so.
So now, are they like, this young lady that you're talking to or somebody, do they come down every so often and say, hey, are you standing in the corner right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so our person is Jacob Dodds.
Right.
That for the ambulance service. The training program piece is gonna be somebody different. So, and again, she does all the training programs for the state, so she's up to her eyeballs in other sites, so, I don't know how long that'll take. Hopefully soon. I'm trying to prod that a little bit and get that going, but we'll see how it goes. That's all I got.
Anything for Josh? I'm excited about getting that. And I know you've been working very, very hard on getting that training program going. I think that that'll
Yeah,
pay dividends,
not going fast enough.
well, obviously not necessarily monetarily speaking, but the benefits for Southeast Iowa
Oh,
in
for
general,
sure.
but
Absolutely.
more specifically to us where we have an opportunity to, use personnel and,
Right,
you know, anyway.
That did bring up a question.
Mhm.
You sent out one advisory board.
Yes.
are you wanting people that's in the medical field on that? or what?
Anybody.
Okay,
Yep.
that's what I was
So,
wondering.
part of the requirement is to have somebody specifically not medical. So, yeah, anybody who wants to be part of that can absolutely.
What
be part
about
of that.
past medical?
Yes.
You qualify. He'd be a good one.
Yeah. Give me your contact information, I'll put you on the board. Anybody else?
He's fixing the tile today, too. Thanks, Josh.
Never a dull moment at the Board of Supervisors meeting here in Jefferson County. Thank you for watching. Thanks to my sponsors, Griner Auto Body, Car Doctor, McDonald Boneyard, Hinshaw Trailer Sales, Girling Repair, B&B Propane, and the family of Jet Stops, the Dutch Market, and Coffee Talk. I'm your host, John Bain. Stay friendly, Southeast Iowa.